All right. So, um, this thing is remarkably fiddly.
This thing being
This thing being getting the faces right. So
okay.
I've got. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah. Do you get the illusion of the red popping out of the screen there, or is it just
Yeah,
me?
it's the lenses because the red refracts at a different rate.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
crazy, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
Um, so whoa, whoopsie.
Oh,
That
that doesn't look good.
no, it's not. It's the opposite of good actually. It's about to
That'd be bad.
segfold on me. The unhappy
Right.
fire. Um, what I did have going was I can run. If this thing would just shut up. I can run the Codex CLI on the web, and then I can make a new face.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so at the moment, I've been calling um, just test faces and an interaction, like an inspector face, which is just a debugging tool. Came up with the idea of making a bash face, which is just funny, but it's basically you can turn any bash command into a face, like whatever the terminal UI that command puts out. You can just put it there, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as well as you can run bash itself as a face, where each interaction is just the command that you want to run.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's cosmetic and not the main thing. So I can make faces. I can have interactions come in on those faces. I cannot yet change the programming of the Codex agent that starts, but I know how to do that with great confidence because I studied the code of the Codex CLI to learn it. Um, and so you'll be able to start a Codex thing with altered altered sys prompting.
Okay.
But
All right. That's good.
yeah, but the issue is like that's all well and good. It just feels a bit feels like not enough or not unitary enough. It just feels a bit sloppy and cobbled. Like
Mm-hmm.
what I got here is just the concept I settled on is that you can make you can run any service you like on the agent, and you can pick whatever port you want, and it will all just sort of work for you. So you can have arbitrarily many UIs running on the agent by way of a face for each one, and then you just come at it externally by hitting that port, and then that's it, and then you're in.
I mean, that doesn't sound cobbled. That sounds pretty discreet. Um,
Well,
where's the
what?
calling?
Well, there's that, and then there's like, well, where? How do we go from that to all the things we talked about? Like I just feel like I lost something. You know,
There is. Let's go through this. We've got the computer substrates which can host an agent. That agent can be spun up and have
Yep.
multiple faces.
Correct.
There can be also multiple examples of that same agent if someone else chooses to spin up and they have their own faces.
Correct.
We can have those faces talk to each other.
Semi-correct. The faces share a file system, and they can
Sure.
share. Oh no,
It's
yeah,
like-
they can. Sorry, yeah, because they can share web connections to each other. They can do it in whichever way they want, but the recommended path is to use interactions to make discrete tool calls in and out of faces between faces.
Okay, what's the definition of interaction?
An interaction is so here I am in Codex. An interaction would be like, tell me the sound of the color blue. One interaction. The working happens, and then the interaction is completed once the final result comes back and the system goes back to resting state. That's an interaction.
So the interaction is between a face and a model.
No, another form of interaction is just this. One interaction.
Right. Okay. So that's between the face going to the agent which owns the file system.
The face. It's just one turn in talking to the face. That's what an interaction is.
Oh, right. Okay. So the interaction is human face.
No, it can be yes, but additionally, it can be face to face. So,
Right. Okay. All right.
yeah, and it can be underlying system to face. Like if I had a cron job running, and it was time, it would make an interaction call to a face.
Okay. So
It's like a
interaction
shell
is
or
like
something.
yeah, it's like an event. It's a thing
Yeah.
that happens.
And it
Something's
felt
happened.
it felt like I needed those components, and the reason I felt like I needed that was because you needed a way for models, because models can only do tool calls, so we need a tool call way of interacting with faces, and like faces are the long running thing, the environment in a way, and
Yeah.
like an agent is the container, so it's like the dedicated file system, and a face is like a process or a shell, a session, or some kind of thing running within that agent. And I guess the issue, the cobblingness, is that it feels so much like an existing computer that it's almost not anything different. Like it's almost just complication. But then the key is the standardization to allow tool calls to do everything, to re-articulate human computer interaction into purely tool call like fashions means that an LLM can take over easily.
Yes, but don't we want it to be as close to the
Yeah.
standard paradigm as possible?
Yeah, we do. But it's just sometimes it's like trying to ride a bicycle on a tram track. You're like, sometimes you're like too close, and then you're like, oops, I'm in the tram track. Then you're like right next to it, and then
Yeah. What's the question?
what the fuck? That's the question. Like, I'm just like, I got. Like it's been very painful and much slower than I'd imagined because I have to like try and build it up and then be like, oh no, that doesn't work because I can't proxy this type of web request. I can't put authentication on this thing. Okay, try again. And then I keep rolling back and I'm like going through the same damn story. Like a user comes in, they're presented with a shell. What can they do with the shell? How does it, and like just building up, and I must have done it like fucking 10 times by now. I'm just like, I know the answer's in there, and it's one of these freaking annoying things that once you can lay out cleanly what the boot sequence is, you're like, first start face 0, make face 0 read only, start the server hosting process. So that's what you see here. So this is the terminal view in read only mode of face 0, which is the process that boots the web server that keeps everything else up.
Right.
And then the idea was this boots, and then you go and you see like an interactive codecs view, I think. And then within that codecs view, that's when you can do things like, oh, I've forgotten it. I crashed the thing because it like, I think it proxied to itself. Like it went, here's an incoming thing. I'm going to proxy to that other thing. Oh, look, it's me. I'm going to proxy to someone else. And it's just like, like a million proxies.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yep.
Yeah, it's super fiddly, man. Like, because proxying web is hard, and me having to, I have to make it. I understand that I have to make it proxy, otherwise we lose the web interaction component of the system. And the web interaction component feels like if we don't have that, then we are at like 0.1% of our potential because web is just so trivially easy.
Right.
So I guess the question is this enough? Like, just how I'm going about it, does it look like it's enough to do the things that you wanted? Because from my point of view, I'm like, I'm losing sight of how I would use these things to do the things I want because I'm kind of drowning in the details.
And you're getting word blind. You know that what's a way to explain what I'm trying to say. One of the hardest things about I think it was the Beatles who were talking about this. You work on something so hard that actually your brain starts to like get blind to what you're actually doing.
Right.
What you're doing is entirely sufficient for the next step.
Is it? Tell me how. Can you tell me how you would use it for a couple of the next steps?
I would log in, and I would ask for my agent, which would have a face 0. I'd then ask that face 0 to, let's take the translation thing. I want to be able to translate a text that I will give you in due course over 3 models. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now we've got 3 agents. It's like, okay, I want those 3 agents to come into consensus based on the diffs between their translations, not where they agree. I also want the output to show agreement and highlight where they've disagreed. Is the translation app. Is there anything else that couldn't be done?
And then you'd want to loop over the whole book.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Because
think I sent
that's a
over.
chunk. That's a
There's
chunked pipeline, right? Like it's chunking.
yeah. I think I sent over that pipeline.
Yeah.
There's nuances about it. It's like when a human goes in and translates this, remember that, and then chunks it
Yeah,
out.
there's some knowledge base structure that needs to be in there where it stores what it
Yeah, but
learned.
that's just a text file, isn't it? I mean, that's
Yeah, in a Git repo.
yeah.
Um, um, anything you couldn't do there? Nope.
Okay, let's go for the OSINT. I want to be able to passively, well, not passively. I want to set up a cron that looks for certain keywords against my, my principal's name, and if it appears in any websites that are new, stick it in this bucket, and then occasionally run through it, or at my command run through it against potential problems, which I will specify what a problem means.
Yep, it'll do that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so third one. I've got 10 years of invoices, and the company that this applies to is not making as much money as it should. I want to look at patterns, and so I'm going to give those invoices to you, churn those over slow time, convert them into something that you care about. I don't care. And then you tell me if there's any patterns of loss that would speak to someone putting their hand in the till.
What the fuck? How would you know that?
It's remarkable how much people apply patterns to themselves. People are really rubbish at being random.
Yeah, the number is 7. How did you know?
Exactly. And actually, that last one I've run by hand, and I've got suspicions.
Right, so I think what you'd really be asking for there is come up with several strategies for how to detect patterns in this is the data I got, here's the patterns I want, give me like half a dozen ways that I could tackle this problem, and then you'd want to quickly spin up each problem running. All right, I think I can see the difference in what I'm looking at with the difference to what you're talking about. What you're talking about is fully self-contained, whereby you can make an agent. The agent can read the full state of another agent that it made by way of face interactions and what have you. It is in full life cycle control of that agent. So effectively, it's got the ability to do end-to-end tests on the whole thing. And why this is feeling wrong and tedious is because I can't end-to-end test the whole system, even though I have a file called end-to-end test, which is sort of an end-to-end test, but also not, because a lot of it is like, I don't even know what I should expect to see. I have to like try something like, do I want the terminal to be interactive? Should it be read-only? How do I make a new one? Is there a concept of a default face that goes into the config file? Is there a default view? Should all views be URLs? Should I use HTTP or HTTPS even though it's an internal system? How would a random running server tool from the internet know what the external DNS name of the agent is so that it can spit out meaningful links to the user while they're interacting with it, rather than printing out a bunch of local.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right, so it's all this futzing around. I'm like, am I supposed to be doing this? Should I care that some arbitrary web server program gets given the correct information to know what it's to determine its host? Like, I'm like, sometimes yes, because I need that right now, sometimes no. And then I'm like, how custom should the process be for the agent? Like, should the face manager be able to reach inside of a running face process and do something, or should it only have API access? What happens if the Linux command segfaults in the middle? What am I supposed to do about that? What if booting the process needed 3 different network ports? 2 were available and it worked fine, and then when it went to get the third, there was already a process running. So now I need to tear down all the stuff and start again, but now I get hung because
I've got a thought here. Give me a few seconds. Right, with the massive respect that I hold in, this is
Here
not
we
meant
go.
to be disrespectful.
Yeah,
okay?
here we go. Go on. Say
I
it.
don't really care. What I care is basically talk to each other, and the face that is asking another face for something has its own view about the confidence level of which it receives the response, and then it can make its own mind up.
So you want to be able to make a tool call out to another AI agent, and then it gives an answer back, and then the thing receiving it makes up its own mind whether it will trust that or it'll run something different.
Precisely.
Okay. I think I'm giving you that, but all these things are...
I don't need every face to be absolutely honest and respond every time with exactly. It doesn't need to be in lockstep.
Yeah, it wouldn't though. Like the problems I'm talking about, the heart of the problem that I was getting at there is that I can't automatically end-to-end test this thing using an agent. I am the agent. I gotta like fire up the browser and click on this and try that, and then fuck around with an environment variable. Like, it's not... Why I think that my despair is unfounded, because what you're talking about is when I've done all this fiddling and provisioning, you get a system that can loop over itself to improve the output. But the bits I'm making are the bits that...
or ignore parts of the output as well.
Yeah, but the bits I'm making and the bits I'm struggling on are not able to... the loop is not closed. There is no feedback loop going that doesn't involve me, and that's why it's feeling a lot awful. But once I get it all figured out one way or another, then when you come to use it, you won't have to deal with any of that, and so all of that cobblediness won't even be apparent. You'll just use the happy path, and the happy path will be spinning up agents and looping them around and then tearing them down because they didn't work correctly, but it will be an agent doing it.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the happy path, because it'll be happy by definition.
Well, until you fall off, and then you'll be like, dude.
But you're the one who first put me on to the idea of how do you make a system which is reliable from unreliable components, which is exactly what we're dealing with here.
Yep.
Yeah. And so how much looping... we don't need to make each component.
No, look, I'm not trying to make a super reliable system in this pass. I'm just trying to make any system in this pass. It's just complicated, I think. And I don't like complicated because it makes me feel like I've done something wrong, but try as I might, I can't remove the complication of having to HTTP proxy. So I've got, you can see, like, this is the web server, right?
Man, I can feel your pain from
Afar, from half a world away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, the proxy, this is like the pain file, because this web proxies, HTTP, and WebSocket connections. And then this is the MCP file, which is kind of magical because it is the one that does MCP, which is kind of the whole point. This is the interactions file, which, given a face ID, manages the interactions that are occurring. And then this is the faces file, which starts faces. These are the kinds of faces that you get.
I mean, this is looking. Now, obviously, I'm not reading the code, but I'm just reading the line count. That's what, 500 lines of code. That's
This
pretty
one,
concise.
yeah,
all those
it's
files you've
it's real
started-
small. No, it's really small. The code is really small, but it's a lot of like this. Like, there's some bash scripts in there, you know, like it's cobbled, you know, like the,
I see what you're saying.
you see what I mean? Like it's like now, because this is so this is how this bit runs, right? Is that if you go in, this is the codex face. This is your main face. All right. This long chain of let statements, not good. Like, it's like, why do you need that many fucking variables to do something that sounded simple on the outside?
Yeah.
Okay. And then,
no doubt you've been hammering the AI to try and make it like simpler, clearer.
well, yeah, but I go in there by hand, so I like try and give it tasks, and then I look at what it does, and I'll either rip it apart, but a lot of the time I go through by hand where I've leveraged, it has done the research for me, because a lot of it is like, if I'm using Fly.io and they proxy in a request from port 8100, what HTTP headers am I going to receive that I can reliably use to figure out where I should proxy that thing, right? So it's like,
how much of this fuzziness and chaos is imposed by the fact that you're interacting with other systems?
all of it. It's where the
I'd say
systems
that-
meet.
I think that is just growing pains. If they were building a similar, or if they were using the similar paradigm, and didn't expose their API in a fuzzy way and so on, you wouldn't need these. You would be able to have a face-to-face conversation, as it were.
Yeah, if it was a face-to-face interface, I am making the face, I am terraforming conventional infrastructure to be the face protocol.
Right, and that feels like where the pain is coming from.
Yeah,
because
that is the pain. That is the pain. That is absolutely the pain. Because look at the
nobody
shit I
else
got to
is
do.
following rules. Nobody else is following rules. Only you
Nah,
are.
right? So we'll ignore this piece of ugliness, right? Which is a special little script that has to run, because when Codex is running, I can't know if I started it as a CLI program. I can't know when it finished running, except they give me this one little hook where I can supply a file, and when they finish running a particular task, they will run that file. And so I have to make that file run, write a JSON file to the disk, watch the directory for
That's
it,
horrible. That's horrible.
detect it, hope that the user didn't type something else in the interactive side of things in the meantime, and then resolve the promise.
That's nasty. There's so many ways that could go
That's
wrong.
not even the nasty bit. That's not even the nasty bit. So then Yeah, anytime you see like wait for port, that's bad. You're like, why are you probing your own network ports for something? Maybe launch clues in the name. Wasn't sure if it was gonna work. So how it runs, right, is that it has a command. So in this case, it's npx-y OpenAI codex with the current directory set,
Okay,
but it's
which is burned in. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's run by this bash script where the command comes in as the arguments passed to the bash script, because the bash script sets up tmux, which is the thing that's required to run the process headless and to persist the state so that if you close your browser window, the running process doesn't just die.
Mm-hmm.
And then start a server process called TTYD that is the thing that you see in the browser when I show you the terminal running in the browser. That's another layer. And then there's like the Unix socket that controls the tmux session. There's the session ID of the tmux session. There's a TTYD port, the window title in the browser. There's the concept of the host, like what should the running program think that its external DNS name is so that it can communicate it out. And then once you get all that working without incident, then you can say hello to Codex in the browser in a terminal app running on Fly's infrastructure that communicates with the smartest machine anyone's made so far.
Brother, that is gnarly.
Dude. In fact, I didn't realize how gnarly until I just laid it out then, but I felt it every day because I'm trying to get right. And it's just the problem is the number of ways that this can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
I will get there, but the approach is not. I'm unable to make a overall architecture and then go through and bang it out. I have to like start with a story, which is often like what you want, actually. Like, Smax is coming in. Smax joins the page. Smax says, make me a sandwich. The sandwich command fails. Smax says, sudo, make me a sandwich. And then...
You like that? You like this joke. That's not my joke. That was... I saw that somewhere.
That's on so many levels. It's funny. And then like that's so I just try and step by step it through until I'm like, oh no, that didn't work because this, rollback, start again. It sort of kind of works, but I guess my fear is I'm like, you see what I'm getting at. It's cobbledy.
Yeah, I am.
Is this what we
again,
build ourselves upon, Maxwell? That's the problem.
Well, what we build ourselves upon is the capability or what we offer. Now, what goes on, beneath a duck's butt, in terms of pushing it forward, is nobody's business. The question is,
it's just ugly.
It looks brittle.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, people wax on about, coding being an art form, but I do think it is an art form. It's ugly.
Yeah. But then, like, for all the powers that I can summon, for all the GPT-5 Pro calls, I can't get it any simpler.
I would
that I can see right now.
Honestly, mate, I'd relax about being brittle right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so like a lot of the brittle is because like I'm not undertaking to make our own web server that serves the terminal out, right? I'm like I need to reuse as many bits as I can, and that's why brittle.
Yeah, but I think it's bothering you because you don't like brittle. You've written some of the
Nah,
most concise code I've ever seen. You know, the 8,000 lines of code that I
which
had
is in
back
the
in the
bin
day.
now, so fat load of good that was. Um,
um, and so I think it just is bothering you
yeah,
for the time being. Getting something up
something's better
that
than a
does that.
beautiful nothing.
Yeah, we don't need beautiful because we're building a machine to make beautiful.
True that. Yep. The machine is supposed to do the beautiful. Man, that's depressing even worse. The machine does the beautiful. I don't.
Yeah, you just need to be, the father of it, and
That's
and
creepy.
and then send it off into the world.
All right.
And um,
It ain't
it,
pretty.
if it's
It's
if it's any
it's
consolation, I really do understand where you're coming from. This
But look,
must be
I've managed to extract some good modularity. Like each of these modules, face command, like that's the one that um, lets you run any bash command as a face, and your each interaction is when you press enter on the command line, and the interaction response is the result of pressing enter. So, you know, the everything that's prefixed with face dash is a different kind of face that you can run. And so I've got 4 of them so far.
Mhm.
Test is just exercises the system. That's how I know the system works. Inspector is one that fires up an MCP inspector so that I can poke at the MCP side of things.
Ooh, oh, that's interesting. How'd you do that?
Well, let me show you. I can actually run that in dev mode because I took the time. So I go face inspector. The deno task is dev, and now I open my thing. So this is what face 0 looks like,
Uh-huh.
because it's always like the process that ran the face is like face 0. It's just the logging output of the command itself. It always runs as read only. So like I'm trying to type here, but it won't let me do anything because it's like if you kill this process, you can no longer interact with this process. So I'm gonna guess that's not what you wanted. Like, you know what I mean? Like it'll kill this web server if you if you do anything. So I'm like, just
It's a bit
you can
harsh,
look,
isn't it?
but do not touch. Just look at the pretty blinking lights, and then yeah. And so here's an example where it's got this is why it needs to know what its host is, because it presents links, and if it thinks it's something else, then you click on the link and it won't work. Now, when I open that link, this is what's running in the face.
Oh,
And that's the standard IO interface. So
nice.
now I can like hit myself with this, which
Well,
I'll do actually.
well,
Why don't I do that?
why would you want to do that?
Well, because the model is that every agent presents to the world a web-based MCP, or sorry, presents to other agents in its computer a web-based MCP tool that lets you create faces, destroy faces, start
Mhm.
interactions with faces,
Oh, I see.
right?
All right.
And
There's
so,
yeah.
and the special bit is that when you start up the Codex face or any other AI-based tool that needs MCP tools so that it can talk to other agents, the trick that I pulled off here is that it will fire up an MCP server, but you can address it by agent ID. So if I call the special agent ID at self, it will hit my own self. So I can be